All right, here we are. We're back here in Cobra's Crow's Nest, this awesome facility here for fitting, whether it's woods, irons, putters. You guys have it all here. Tom, thanks for taking the time with me here today. We got some exciting stuff from Cobra in the irons department. We got a bunch of brand new models. And, when you guys are looking at new irons, you kind of see what's out there, what you have currently, and then you look forward to a 2025. What's kind of the big thing? Is it, you're trying to always push the limits, but what is it that kind of pushes you guys to the next year, to kind of the next set of irons, the next advancement? What is it kind of that goes through you and your team's kind of minds when you're looking forward?
Yeah, the challenge always is this design world where everybody wants distance, forgiveness, accuracy, and great feel all at once.
Well, of course.
And a good price, right? So all those things are kind of the design trade-offs that we have to do from a standpoint of, okay, how do we make this iron? How can we make some technologies that work better than they work today? And the challenge is things are working really good today, not just for us, for a lot of companies. So it's hard to find little performance nuggets there, but we're looking for those constantly. We're always trying to uncover something. Performance, playability, visuals we talked about are really important. Feel is really important. So the aesthetics are critical, and then we get into, hey, how do we want it to look? How do we want to sit on the shelf or look on on the screen? So we're going to bring you some new King irons. These are the King Tecs. So we're going to have the King Tec, and we're going to have the King Tec X. As we've already done. King Tec is our forged body, hollow construction, but it's got the power shell face, so it's fast. The goal on this one was really fast but great feel. It's player's distance, so we want some distance. Slightly aggressive. 7 irons are 29.5 degrees. Not super strong, but stronger than most tour players would play. But a great look. It's got that muscle back, hollow look, if you will. Golfers are very aspirational. They want something that looks really good in their bag, and these certainly prove that. We also tweak the shape just a little bit. You saw it today a little bit, slightly tucking the offset a little bit and blending it a little better, and a little thinner top line here and there. So everything about that is that behind the ball look that better players want. And usually the Tec goes to, let's say, a 5 to 12 or so handicap, but certainly better players, if they like the look and the performance, would play it too. But it's definitely got a hotter face and a hotter ball flight. But the one thing that we wanted to improve upon noticeably was feel. So when we want these to feel, we want the feel of that solid, go back in history, that old Bellata on forging feel is what people always love as the pure feel. You want them to feel explosive, but you also want that solid feel. So that's where the Tec comes in. So forged body, forged face.
And that's another thing too, is when you mentioned forged body, forged face, I know there's a lot of irons that are kind of pop up in this category, kind of a similar, it's becoming a bigger section of the market, but not everybody forges all the pieces. It seems like you get some companies that may forge just the face or just the body or whatever, both of them. And that's pretty important for that feel you mentioned, especially those pretty, let's call them discerning golfers who really want. There may be players who before played some competitive golf when they were younger and family life and jobs and all that, have now all of a sudden said, well, you don't get to practice as much, but they still want that good feel, that look. And for some of those players, the feel is extremely important.
And I think you have a young child at home. It's like at some point when she starts playing golf, you'll be wanting to play, and you won't be as good as you are now. But so a lot of players are, to your point, are looking for that. They probably were slightly better players, but they want a little bit of distance. They want all that great feel. So that is packaged with the Forged Tec X. Forged Tec X is a little bit more game improvement, size and shaping. It's much more forgiving. This one has 20 grams of tungsten. This one has 70. CG's lower on this. Now lofts are stronger because that's more of a game improvement need. Game improvement players are looking for a little more distance instead of providing it with their swing. So the King Tec X is a great product. We didn't have this a couple of years ago with the last cycle we had them. It's been great feedback. We typically sell, because it's a wider range, 3 or 4 to 1 versus these. Again, because it's mid handicaps. So we would say this is, I would say 8 to 15, 17 handicap range. They still want that kind of look, that clean aspirational look, but they want a little bit more pop out of it. So these irons are a little bit stronger lofts, but a little lower CGs. We know that's the recipes. You can't just make stronger lofts and have it work. You got to have the lower CG to help you provide that ball flight. And so forged face, cast body. With the cast body, we could save a lot more weight. That's how we can get 70 grams of tungsten in there.
And this one here too. I got to hit both these just earlier today. And again, the feel on this, extremely soft, very good sound and feel, very muted. I think even if you're not, like you said, you're a player who's looking at the regular Forged Tec, I think even this one, you're going to appreciate how good this one sounds and feels, even with, like you mentioned, the cast body, which in theory, some people say, well, it won't feel as good. It still actually sounds and feels really soft.
yeah.
I mean, it was surprising how good that one felt.
And part of the engineering is these boats have foams in them.
Yeah.
And so the foams help dampen those vibrations that you would normally get from a hollow clip. So we spend a lot of time with the people that make those kinds of foams. You know, there's all kinds of people working on foams for industrial uses. So, you know, we have a new foam this year. Hey, great, let's try it. And, you know, we test and test and test until we get one that's better. So you'll notice the feel improvement on both these new irons versus last year. And we like to say that we have some of the best feeling irons in each given price category. You know, for certain prices, you can't put all the feel that you would put in a more expensive product. But in this category, we feel like we're going to be among the best.
Yeah, and 70 grams of tungsten, I mean, that's a lot in an iron head. I mean, considering what iron head in a 7 iron weighs, what, 250
roughly, yeah.
Yeah, and MDJ basically a little less than half of that is tungsten,
yeah.
or a quarter of it's tungsten. So that really is moving that CG way down in there.
Right, yeah. So again, gets the ball up quickly, even though the lofts are strong. And that's, you know, people still want distance, accuracy, forgiveness, and great feel all at once, you know, for a decent price.
Yep, exactly.
So that's our mindset going into these irons each time, trying to improve them in every way we can.
Yeah.
The other thing that's new for Tec X is we brought the One Length into the Tec X family. And if you remember past couple years, we used to have the One Length in the Tec family.
Yeah.
That was better players. You know, there was somebody on tour playing those kinds of irons. So now it's in the Tec X, which helps us because we got that 70 grams of tungsten. We got the ability to make the sole a little bit wider. We actually weaken the lofts a little bit. So in One Length now you'll have a Tec X One Length that performs great.
Yeah, I think like you mentioned, I mean, it fits such a wide range of players that, yes, not only will that single-digit handicap be able to play the One Length, but you'll also have a little wider end on the other side of the higher handicap, who really do, you know, we were talking earlier, benefit or can benefit from One Length to have, you know, that in their bag, because this iron will allow them to play it.
Yeah, and it's got a lot more technology, so that's the benefit. You know, we talk to people all the time. The One Length buyer is very satisfied. They get higher satisfaction ratings from our buyers than the variable lengths.
Oh wow!
You know, a few points higher, right? They're both in the 90s, but even higher.
Yeah.
And so we've always said, hey, if you're not a single-digit handicapper, you're probably going to play better with the One Length iron because it's just more consistent.
Yep. Exactly.
You know, and that's the challenge all of us golfers have is consistency. Whether you're Ricky Fowler tour player or whether you're just average guys like us.
Yep.
We can't get too consistent.
No, it's impossible. I think a lot of us have tried, but it doesn't work.
So Forge Tec X, you know, these will be out this fall, and excited about those rolling into the market.
No, this is super exciting because, like you said, especially for the Golf WRX crowd, I mean, these both fit right where people are looking for, like you said, you know, aspiring players who maybe one time played those cavity backs and those blades, and, you know, now need a little more help. They have two options to kind of help with that.
Fountain of youth.
Exactly. I like to call them the cheaters. You know, they let you kind of get away, but they still have that great look. So great stuff in the Forge Tec there. And then we also have brand new irons that match the woods as well. So we've got two
adapts.
irons here. Yep, exactly. This adapts.
Okay, we'll do the same thing. We'll pop them up.
All right.
Adapt, max. So two great new irons.
Yep.
These are also hollow irons. We spent a lot of time on hollow. We've been doing hollow for a long time.
Yeah.
And the challenge, as you know, always is sound, feel, forgiveness, performance, distance. Again, these are more of the distance category. But the standard adapt, dark speed adapt is a game improvement iron. You know, not the widest sole, if you will, but you can see where the max is a much wider sole.
Yep.
Okay, so this is really designed to be more super game improvement. The other thing that we've heard over the years a lot from Cobra buyers and fitters is our irons are really long, but occasionally they're a little bit too low for some golfers. Golfers may need help getting them up in the air. So the Adapt Max is more of a super game improvement blade, wider sole for lower CG, weaker loft. So this fits in really well in that category of game improvement, but players needing a little bit more height.
Yep.
And all the technology we could bring to this iron.
Yeah.
So this is also what we would call speed shell face. So I have a piece of that here.
Yeah, but I say it's cool. Yeah, we've got a kind of a new design on the power shell face there, and it is.
If you remember, power shell was an L cup, so essentially face and L cup. This speed shell is more of a full cup, if you will, around the face. So the idea here is we can get this a little bit thinner, have it flex a little bit more. There's some channels in there that help us create more flex. So the idea here is if we can actually stiffen the outer perimeter, but have the face flex a lot, we're going to give you more distance, more speed.
Yeah.
The other thing go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, because usually you've seen in tech stuff some L cup faces and all that. I was really surprised at how far or how much of the sole was part of this face. I expected it to be a little shelf, whatever, and then to see this and to see, I mean, it's a good amount of that sole that is all face, which is pretty cool.
And it's all flexible. And part of the old designs were, if this return was thinner, you have to weld right through that to get it to the rest of the body. So that kind of stiffens things a little bit.
Yeah.
So you can move those welds around to the back a little bit. It helps free it up. And then also new for this year in the Adapt irons is the Power Bridge system. Now this is a power bridge that, if you remember in the past, we took an extra steel piece and welded it to some posts.
Yeah.
And that was helping the flexibility. But one of the things we found was a little bit challenging to make consistently, and it's a little bit easier to make it this way. But also, we wanted to actually continue to provide more flex. So the further back we can move that weld, this system allows us to do that by kind of stiffening up the edges and not so much in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's still a bridge system. If you think of the sole being free, it's bridging over the sole. The other ones were more bridging over the sole and in both directions.
And it's pretty amazing how much mass is here. Because when you showed me the first images, they were kind of different colored in the slide, and you're looking at them. And I thought, oh, maybe this was, a little bit like it was something smaller, it was just kind of stuck on. And then to see that it's actually formed right into the frame of the body, and there's a lot of mass there.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive.
And the same goal, low and wide CG, with high inertia. We also use a medallion system, to dampen vibrations. This is a multi-material medallion. So you want to make sure it sounds and feels solid. And your experience was, wow, these are way better feeling than I thought.
I got to hit both of them. And the first one, I got to hit the first Adapt, and it was like, wow, this actually feels really soft. It sounds good. It doesn't have any click or any, harsh feel to it. And then the same thing with the Max. And to the point of it, hit both of them side by side. I hit the Max 3 degrees higher in terms of launch. I mean, just a launch. And they had almost identical ball speed.
Exactly.
I think the ball speed was 1 mile an hour difference between the two. And I launched at 3 degrees higher. So any player who's looking for that added launch and helping getting the ball up in the air, I mean, that Max easily launches the ball without sacrificing having to.
One of the trade-offs that we know in this business is CG position, especially high-low, also drives ball speed.
Yep.
So even though the Max is weaker loft, is lower CG. So typically, most of us hit the ball a little bit low of center on irons off the ground.
Yeah.
So when you have a lower CG, you get more ball speed out of that. So just because it's weaker loft doesn't mean you're going to lose any ball speed.
Yeah, and it wasn't. We kind of all just like laughed when we looked at it and said, "Wow, that's almost identical." And then the launch went way up, and it was pretty impressive to see that. Not just be a marketing term of, oh yeah, it goes higher. No, it really does.
Right.
And you don't have to sacrifice a whole lot. But yeah, I think players who are in that category looking for the Adapt or Adapt Max iron. Before you kind of were stuck kind of hitting irons that didn't probably feel or sound that great, but they performed. I mean, they got the ball out there, and now being able to have, kind of your cake and eat it too is really big. Because I think those players want to have good feeling and sounding irons. When they hit a good golf shot, they want to kind of have that thud sound that like the tour pros have that they see on the weekends. And now being able to have that in an iron that still gives them the performance they need is pretty huge. So it's going to be exciting to see how those do, with consumers out there when they get their hands on them.
Yeah, and I think the exact thing that you looked at is how do they look behind the ball? Certain players are going to react to certain things. So 2 great new irons. One's definitely more, I would say, traditional game improvement. The other is definitely more super game.
Yeah, and even the Adapt, though, I mean, it does have offset. It's got a thick top line. I mean, those things are there. But it's not like in an offensive package. It's not you set it down and go, oh gosh, I got to hit this. It really does blend well, and it looks good behind the ball, which is always nice.
Yeah, people want that. People want it to look good behind the ball. They want to feel good about their golf clubs.
Exactly. Nobody wants to go buy a golf club that they consider just ugly,
and they hate it.
Exactly. Part of hitting a shot well is looking down at the club and going, all right, I got some confidence there. I can hit this. So no, that's exciting. The whole line here for 2025 is going to be good. It's going to be fun to see when these consumers get in the hands. So, Tom, thanks for sharing all the info on the new irons, and can't wait to hit them.
Anytime, Brian. Love talking to you.
Thank you.
All right.